The Broncos are getting ready for their toughest matchup of the year. This is your Denver Sports Daily for September 19th.
The biggest stories, the latest news. It's Denver Sports Daily.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It's a real happy Friday because in 2 days before we even get to see the outcome, we will get to see the Broncos be playing football. Who cares about how the Broncos finish this game? Honestly, it's Broncos time. It's football time, but it does matter. If the Broncos can't get out there and win this game, we'll be looking at a very different story for the rest of the year. This is their first divisional matchup game of the year. It's happening against the Chargers on Sunday. I cannot wait to see what this game looks like. But what we have seen from the past couple of games, there's been some very telling factors about how this game could end up if the Broncos aren't careful. And how it could end up is Justin Herbert having a field day all over the Broncos defense. He could do whatever he wanted to if he continues playing like he has for the past couple of weeks. Now, the Broncos need to win this game. They need to win this game. It honestly should be looked at as a must-win, taking in all the factors. But first and foremost, taking in the main factor, it's a divisional matchup. And if winning the division is really the main key that Sean Payton wants to do, Sean Payton said it in the offseason, winning the division is the first goal. They need to start hot. They need to win their first divisional matchup of the year, and it's going against the toughest opponent in the division so far from what we've seen. I mean, we've seen the Raiders, they're 1-1, along with the Broncos. The Chiefs are at the bottom. They're 0-2. So we're looking at a very different division ranking if the Broncos can't win this game. I mean, we could easily see a swing where the Broncos go from first in the division to last. It could happen that quickly. It really could. So they need to go out and put themselves in a position where they can end up winning the division later in the season. Now, Bo Nix showed growth between game 1 and game 2. A lot of growth. Game 1 was not great. Game 2 was better, but it wasn't the same Bo Nix that we had gotten used to last season. He will need to perform even better than he did last week if they want to win this game. And that comes with limiting turnovers. He's already had 3 interceptions thrown in the past 2 weeks, and you can't go out and throw 1.5 basically is what that is. You know, you throw 3 interceptions, 2 games, you're throwing 1.5 interceptions per game. You cannot go out and throw an interception or even 2 against the Chargers because they will capitalize on that. This defense is great for the Chargers, but their offense is even better. I mean, Justin Herbert, if he gets the ball in his hands in a scoring position, then it'll be game over. If you just keep allowing that to happen, it'll be game over right off the bat. Now, another way this game could get away from the Broncos very quickly is if the defense cannot step up. They have not performed at the level that everyone was expecting them to perform at before the season began. You know, they were saying that this is the best defense in the league, and that still is true. This is the best defense in the league, but they're not looking like it. They're not looking like it at all. They cannot perform the same way that they did specifically against the Colts. If they allow the Chargers to score on 6 of their 8 drives, on 75% of their drives, this game is already over. It's over before you take the first snap. You cannot go out there and just be okay with allowing 75% scoring rate for the Chargers offense because they're not going to settle for field goals like the Colts did. They're going to go out there and they're going to score touchdowns on every single one of those drives. Now, limiting Justin Herbert comes with the defense. You need to limit Justin Herbert's passing game, establish the pass rush, and force them to keep the ball in the hands of the rookie Omarion Hampton. If you lose to Justin Herbert doing whatever you want, whatever he wants him to do, then that's not a good way to go out. It really isn't. This is a guy that you've come to know. You know, you play him twice a year. Justin Herbert has been in this league for a while now, since 2020. You have to go out there and play against the guy that you know, stop him from doing whatever he wants because he's looking like he's on a tear this season, really putting up some MVP numbers early throughout the first 2 weeks. If you end up losing to Omarion Hampton, the rookie, that's another thing. That's a whole different story. But Justin Herbert, this is a guy that you've come to know. You know how to game plan around him. You know how to stop him. Go put those words on paper into action this Sunday. Omarion Hampton is a rookie. Put the ball in his hands. Rookie mistakes are called rookie mistakes for a reason. There's a reason that it's a saying. Make him to make him have a mistake, force the ball into his hands and force mistakes and errors. That is how you win this game. Now, kickoff for the Broncos is at 2:05 this Sunday, and the Broncos are entering the game as 2-point underdogs. So basically a toss-up, could go either way, about 50-50 for the Broncos favorites and Chargers favorites. It's right there, a real close game being called here by ESPN before it actually happens, but they really need to win this game. I don't want to say must win as early as this, but you look forward into the next couple weeks, you have the Chargers, then you have the Bengals at home, and that one maybe a little bit less hard now that Jake Browning is a starting quarterback rather than Joe Burrow. And then you go to Philadelphia and you play the Eagles. If you end up dropping 2 of these games, you're looking at a 2-3 record, and that is not where you want to be. That's never where you want to be. So they need to go out and win at least 2 of these games in the next 3 weeks to really put themselves in a position where they can see themselves succeeding in the future. Now, moving on, another big game day taking place this weekend is the Colorado Buffaloes. They look to bounce back against Wyoming tomorrow, and the Buffs have found themselves in a real tough position after losing to the Houston Cougars last week, but they've got a good opportunity, a great opportunity at that, to bounce back tomorrow against the Wyoming Cowboys. Now, Payton Salter is expected to return as the QB1 after much deliberation. Real messy QB room going up there in Boulder. But that's great for him. Payton Salter coming back as the QB1. He's got a great opportunity to show what he's capable of against an underachieving Wyoming team. This Wyoming team is 2-1, but they have really I don't want to say no chance, but they are not on the same level as Colorado is, or should be, is maybe a better way to say that. Colorado should be a much better team than Wyoming. They're looking like it right now. They can go out there and really dominate the Wyoming Cowboys if they play at the level that they should be playing at. Now, the Buffs need to look at this game as not only a must-win for their confidence, but literally a must-win to keep their bowl game hopes alive. If they're dropping games like this, then there's really no hope for this season. And honestly, you're better off to put Julian Lewis in right away. I know I've said until week 9. You don't want to put him in until week 9 when the season is really over. But if it's really over this quickly, you're losing to a team like the Cowboys, then honestly, it's time to press the emergency button and you got to figure out something real quick. Now, if the Buffs really want to get their confidence back, this game needs to not only be a win, but a blowout win. Style points matter in games like this. People will say that style points don't matter, but in college they do. And especially in games like this, where you're looking to come back after you're blown out by 16 points at the hands of Houston, and you're going up against a Wyoming team that isn't that great, and you got Payton Salter and back at the QB1 position. Is he really the guy, or is there going to be more QB changes throughout the season? Payton Salter needs to hear all that, go out there and throw a couple touchdowns. I'm talking 4 touchdowns. If I really had to bet, I would guess 4 passing touchdowns if everything goes correctly. Now, kickoff is tomorrow at 8:15 p.m., and the Buffs are entering the game as 14-point favorites. They better cover that spread if they want to get their confidence back because, I mean, two touchdowns. It's a 2-score game you're projected to win by, and I see them doing that. I really do see them doing that. But that'll do it for Denver Sports Daily. Big games coming up this weekend. You got the Broncos versus the Chargers, first interdivisional matchup of the season. And then you got the Buffs taking on the Cowboys. Should be a big win for the Buffs. Clayton, hey guys, good to see you, Clayton. Smash that like button and share. You're saying it for me, man. Gotta love it. Smash that like button, share, and make sure to subscribe. I'll be back with you guys on Monday, recapping these big games taking place this weekend. Hopefully we can see wins, unlike last week when we saw losses for both of the football teams in Colorado. But until Monday, you guys have a great rest of your day, a great weekend. Hope the Broncos game is great, and I will speak with you guys on Monday. Bye, y'all.